So hello, I'm Tulip Hambleton from Sustainable Wines UK, and this evening my guest at our wine tasting event is Mike Allen from Huia Vineyards in Marlborough, New Zealand. And Mike with his wife Claire are organic and biodynamic winemakers. So I'm very excited to have Mike come in during his UK visit to spend a wine tasting evening with our guests here.
Very lucky. My first job out of college was at Cloudy Bay, which was is still a very famous winery. I've worked at Vavasor. Claire was the first winemaker at Lawson's Dry Hills, so we got some really good experience before we started off Huia. In the early days, the champagne houses bought into the Marlborough wineries. They could sort of see the potential that was happening. And so both Claire and I got a stage in Champagne, and I had a few months at Veuve Clicquot, and Claire had a few months at Taittinger. So that gives you a little bit of background to our sparkling wine background. Sauvignon Blanc is really the major grape variety out of Marlborough, and it's very easy to think that Marlborough is just one great big Sauvignon Blanc factory and that it's got one type of terroir. Well, it's not like that at all. So it's made up of two valleys, the Arbitrary Valley and the Wairau Valley, and they're quite different. We've got a natural wind that blows off the mountains all the time. It's a warm nor'wester that comes through right the way through summer, so that keeps everything very dry, and that also makes it very helpful for being organic because we don't naturally get a lot of disease in the first place. So on our home block we've got Sauvignon Blanc, some Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and the Winston block, which is on the clays, we've got Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer and Riesling. If you wonder what the difference between biodynamic and organic wines, say, compared to conventionally grown wines, in conventional vineyards you've got lots of sides, if you like. You've got pesticides and fungicides, whereas with organics and biodynamics, what we're really believing in is that the more life that you have, the more life in your soils, the more life, biodiversity that you have within your vineyards, and that's the plants, the insects, the microflora under the vines, composting. The more you can get your whole ecosystem within your vineyards in balance, the less you're having to take correct methods all the time. So there are lots of different techniques we do for that. As I was saying, the very natural climate of warm winds and sun exposure, so we do a lot of hand leaf plucking through the year, making sure our canopy's open, that we can get the air through. Fungus just doesn't like cool, wet conditions, so the drier you can keep it and the more sun you can get into your canopy, the easier it is. Yeah, natural approach. These are the guys getting seaweed off the beach that we mix into the composts. We've got cows on our Winston block in particular. We have sheep on our home block, and this is some photographs of the cow's horns that are used with biodynamics for preparations.
So what challenges did you come across and what made you decide to go organic and biodynamic, and what things are you doing differently now?
In the early days when we developed land, the culture was much more traditional in terms of using conventional techniques. Although we did on occasions use those techniques, particularly with young vines, to get things going. The more that we developed as people and the more that we tasted wines that were made organically, and the more the sustainability movement got cranked up in New Zealand, of course our interests just kept blossoming, and then the more you do it, the more you realise how right it is to work that way. We felt that it was really important that people that bought Huia actually had that solid endorsement that we were meeting a very rigorous criteria, which we are certified through BioGrow, which has a very, very rigorous auditing process.
So I know there's a group of similar vineyards with similar philosophies in Marlborough called MANA, Marlborough Natural Wine Growers. So tell me about how your membership of that group benefits you and the other members.
It's been the most brilliant thing. There are 7 of us in it at the moment. It's not exclusive at all. The criteria for belonging to Mana is simply that your vineyards have to be organic and that you have to have your own winery. We would be able to share information, and also because we were all quite small, we'd be able to have some buying power. We'd be able to share information about the growing season and how we overcame little problems that came up or whatever, or alert each other if something was happening. And collectively we can actually organise a really brilliant event that a lot of people will aspire to come to, and wine writers and sommeliers and what have you, which individually we couldn't afford to do, but as a group,
over here.
yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, Mike, thank you very much indeed, and we'll look forward very much to your presentation this evening.